Hello, my name's Ted. This is the Issues of Life, and I just want to start out. I was reading the story of Joseph today, and so I was inspired by that. So I'm going to share a few things out of that story. That story is in Genesis 37, and um, so Joseph was one of Jacob's sons, or Jacob, or also known as Israel. Um, and he happened to be uh, Israel's favorite son out of several. And um, and so the story is that Jacob made Joseph a special tunic or coat. And it's also famously known as the coat of many colors, okay, to demonstrate that he favored Joseph over all the rest of his siblings, which good for Joseph in that regard, but not so good when it came to his relationship with his siblings, as you can imagine. You know, you're one of the younger siblings, and now you're your dad's favorite. So all these older brothers, let's just say they didn't like Joseph that well. And then God gives Joseph a couple of dreams. And in the dreams, basically, they come down to uh, that uh, that his brothers and his family were kneeling before Joseph. So now, not only are you were you already unliked by your siblings, now you're just plain hated. Because now you're saying, you guys are going to kneel before me. Now, maybe that wasn't Joseph's attitude. Maybe these were just dreams that at the time he might not even have understood them. Probably didn't know how that even was going to take place in his life, or what the implications were at the time. But these were dreams that God gave Joseph. And then one day, because his brothers hated him, he goes out into the field and they plot to kill him. But his youngest brother saves him. They decide not to kill him, and they throw him in this pit. And then they end up selling him into slavery to Ishmaelites, and then Potiphar, one of the governors of the land of Egypt under Pharaoh, ends up buying Joseph as his slave. So imagine this. So you get this dream, you believe it's from God showing you this, and now not only do you have your brothers who wanted to kill you, but they throw you in a pit, you get sold into slavery. Now, if it was me, I'd start to kind of wonder, "Hey, God, what about these dreams? What's up with that?" But Joseph, I'm sure he kept those things in the back of his mind and in his heart. And he ends up in Potiphar's house, and he serves at Potiphar's house to the best of his ability. And God's grace and favor are on him to serve so well that that Potiphar puts him over all of his house as he administers, trusts him with everything. And then what happens is um, Potiphar's wife tries to get Joseph to sleep with her, and Joseph uh, refuses, and she falsely accuses him, and Potiphar ends up having him thrown in prison. So now he goes from almost being killed, thrown in a pit, sold into slavery, serving well, and now he's in prison falsely accused. Now, I don't know about you, but at that point, I would be very justified in having not so good of an attitude. Let me just put it that way. But Joseph, while he's in prison, he served in there. He made the best of those circumstances, and uh, uh, because of that, they put him over all of the prison. And so he's administering all of the prison. And then there was a couple of guys in prison that used to work for Pharaoh, and they had dreams, and they couldn't figure it out. They asked Joseph, and Joseph interprets their dreams. And unfortunately, one of the interpretations for one of these guys for the dream was basically, you're going to die. You're going to get hanged. The other one, it was a little bit better. He said, well, you're going to be reinstituted as the cupbearer for the Pharaoh, so you're going to be okay. And Joseph says, remember me, remember me. And so, but the guy goes back, he's working for Pharaoh, and he forgets about Joseph. So there's Joseph stuck in prison. Now he's betrayed, and but he continues to serve in there. Eventually, Pharaoh has these dreams. Nobody can interpret them. And then the cupbearer remembers Joseph. And Joseph comes, interprets the dreams for Pharaoh, and Pharaoh makes him ruler of all the land and administrator, who, right under Pharaoh, he was a ruler of the land. And because of that, and then there was let me just say this: there was 7 years of feast, and then there was 7 years of severe famine. But because Joseph was a great administrator, he made sure that there was enough to get through the famine. During that time, his brothers came to buy wheat, and they ended up bowing down to Joseph, not knowing, not recognizing him. And that was the fulfillment of the dream that God had given him. And then as they sent for Joseph, had his father come, and long story short, the whole family was restored. They lived under the blessing of Egypt, and they multiplied and were prospered. Here's the takeaway. There are going to be times where we know what God's destiny is, but we get in the middle of all these problems and all these circumstances. But guess what? It's not that God put those things in your life, but as life will throw it, God knows what might come against. But if you stand and serve faithfully, God's will and his blessings will come to you out of those circumstances. This is the Issues of Life.